2024 was a solid year for the Hollywood hits, indie flicks, and straight-to-streaming sensations. One of the things that stood out to be the most this year was the mass amount of sequel, prequel, and franchise films. With additions to franchises like Alien, Beetlejuice, Quiet Place, Planet of the Apes, Deadpool, Terrifier, Dune, Joker, Venom, the X trilogy, and so on, along with animated titles like Inside Out 2, fourth installments to the Despicable Me and Kung Fu Panda series, Moana 2, and more. While these films dominated the box office, I found some of the standalone titles getting overlooked. Between streaming and theaters, I saw 24 films in 2024. I'm here to rank them today and find the best film I saw released this year. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to see every film this year, so I missed your favorite film. If that's you, leave that film down in the comments so we can all get around to watching it. And I will say at the release of this video, Nosferatu, Mufasa, and Sonic 3 haven't come out yet. And we all knew Sonic 3 was going to be the best film released this year. Dang it! Some bigger films I really wanted to see that I couldn't watch were We Live in Time, Heretic, Oddity, and more. Before we jump into ranking these films, don't forget to like the video, comment your favorite film from 2024, and subscribe to Studio 24. So without further ado, I'm your host Kael, and we'll start with number 24, Spaceman. This was a strange film that struggled to move its plot. It was super interesting, but I thought that the plot as a whole was lackluster. It's highlighted by great performances by Adam Sandler and Paul Dano. The whole viewing experience comes down to its lackluster climax. It just did not do it for me. Number 23, Cuckoo. I thought this movie fell flat in a lot of aspects. Maybe the story just wasn't for me, but there were some good thrills in the film, and Hunter Schafer's character is likable. I just can't stand that damn sound. Number 22, Subservience. This is the second horror film on the list, and this year just had a lot of decent horror films. I would say this falls towards the bottom of those, but it had a great premise. However, the movie could have been ended about 3 plot beats before it did, and the overall writing just didn't impress me compared to some of the other horror films on this list. However, the performances in this movie are really good at times. Number 21. Y2K. While this is a comedy that probably isn't trying to be at the top of the list, I was glad to note that it wasn't the worst movie I watched this year. Jaden Martell from It brought a ton of heart to this film and is accompanied really well by Rachel Zegler and Julian Dennison. Number 20, Beetlejuice. While the sentimental value and nostalgic moments are here, I thought the plot of this film was weak, and the new characters, minus Astrid, were also really weak. I really don't think we have to remake or make a sequel to every old movie that did well. Number 19, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. In our review earlier in this year, this was a controversial opinion. This movie was long and lacked payoff. Overall, just a step down from the holy trilogy of Planet of the Apes films that came before it. Number 18, Quiet Place Day 1. This ends up being one of the more forgettable action thriller horror films I saw this year. The film did well at finding heart and was a solid prequel to the franchise, however. And it took a very in-depth look at what a cat's life would be like in this situation. Number 17. Roadhouse. A solid attempt to give this that similar but different feel from the original. In a lot of ways, however, it fails to live up to that original film. It gets props for good action and timely comedy. Conor McGregor was absolutely insane in this film, and Jake Gyllenhaal is not John Dalton. Jake Gyllenhaal does well, but ultimately fails to live up. Number 16, Alien Romulus. This is a solid installment to the Alien franchise, but I don't feel like this film adds anything to it. This is simply a solid film. Number 15, Smile 2. What? I thought this was one of the best horror films of the year. Yeah, if you thought that, I think you're smoking on some crack. I didn't think this at all. While it has a fun way of revealing bits of the plot aren't real, it also drug along at times for me. And the same jump scare 10 times over got a little old during the viewing. Truly, I prefer the first one. Number 14, Venom: The Last Dance. Alright, Venom 3 over some of these other films? I know. But I actually enjoyed this film. Enjoyed it way more than I expected to. It has heart, fun action, and payoff to the end of a trilogy. Just a fun film, and that's okay. It bought it some bonus points. Number 13, Maxine. Maxine. I wanted this film to be a lot better. Maxine's arc as a whole is awesome, but the plot of this film is just a bit too corny for me, even if that's what they're trying to do while alluding to horror sequels of the 80s. Number 12, Immaculate. This was a cool horror film, and I could really see the inspiration from Rosemary's Baby. I thought the acting was good as well. It falls down the list because there isn't much new here, but this is an awesome watch, and while I think it fell down the list because there isn't a lot new here, it does so much right that it climbed up a little higher on my list than I thought it would be. Number 11, Gladiator II. This was a great sequel to the first film, but I think it misses the mark in a few areas, and the overall story doesn't scratch the surface of the first film. Looking at it by itself though, it has some good action and they managed to freshen it up some. I just overall think the characters aren't as fun to watch as the ones from the first film. Moving on into the top 10, we have number 10. Challengers. At first, this film was slower and I wasn't really into it, but after some thought, the style is amazing, and they do a bang-up job at creating tension. It was a stressful watch with 3 really great performances. Number 9, Joker Folie à Deux. I feel like I liked this more than some and less than others. The performances were great and so was the music. The story just falls a tiny bit flat for me. I just really wanted to see that man Joker out. Number 8, The Substance. What a unique and gross horror film. This film took me on a ride. I loved the underlying messages about aging and taking care of yourself. Number 7, Dune Part 2. This was an awesome film and the twist at the end floored me. Also, visually stunning film. What else is there to say about it? Number 6, Deadpool and Wolverine. What a fun movie. The fan in me wants to put it higher, and in a lot of ways it excels being just a fun movie. Great to have a good Marvel film come out this year. Had me really reliving the old days. Number 5, Wicked. As someone who never saw the musical, I thought this was great. Loved the story and it had me on edge for the next part. Big ups to the performances here. Number 4, Civil War. This film floored me, and I think it comes at a relevant time. The characters here are great, and it finds an awesome style through war photography. It's also just a wild ride of a plot. Before we make it to the top 3 films of 2024, don't forget to like this video. Comment on what your favorite film of the year was or what you thought about this list. And don't forget to subscribe to Studio 24. We do movie reviews for Studio Cinema Saturday, TV reviews for TV Tuesday, and we're also here making our own short films. Finally, we'll move on to number 3. Down to the top 3, these were hard to rank. You know, there's a film up here that I didn't expect to be here. I'll be thinking on these films for a lot longer than just in the year of 2024. Number 3, Longlegs. When I first saw this, I would have swore it was going to be my number 1 horror film of the year. I love the detective story meets demonic Satan story, and I felt like this gave a good chill at the end. I also thought this film had some of the best characters in a horror film on this list. It's that connection to them that makes the film so fun to watch, along with a fun, thrilling story, of course. Nick Cage is crazy in this film. Number 2, Terrifier 3. I did not expect this to be my number 1 horror film of the year. It has an amazing plot that has me so ready for the next film. The action is gross, art is great, and the characters are only getting better. This is not going to be as high on most other lists, and I'm completely fine with that. I just could not overlook this film and I loved it. I'll die on that hill. And our number 1 film of the year, Ironclaw. This film made me fall in love with the characters on screen. 10 out of 10 action, 10 out of 10 acting. And the storytelling here, phenomenal. A biopic that makes you laugh, love, cheer, and cry. I think this film is very deserving of number 1 film of 2024 for me. Do you agree with this list? Let me know down in the comments below, and stick around for more Studio 24 content coming to you in the new year. Happy holidays, and we can't wait to see you in 2025.